We're going to demonstrate the proper application of a pelvic binder. This is for a patient that we find instability or pain on exam of the pelvis. So we're going to start with holding manual stabilization of the pelvis. Awesome. And then we're going to anatomically splint the legs. So we'll put some padding in between the legs. We're going to gently bring the legs together and then secure them. You can use a triangular if you pass it under the natural hollow behind the ankles, help minimize movement of the pelvis. Perfect. For our binding material, we're going to use an emergency blanket. They're pretty common to find in packs. So we want this folded about a foot in width and laid out as long as you can get it. We're going to pass this under the natural hollows behind the patient's knees. Again, minimizing movement of that pelvis. And we're going to bring it across till it's even on both sides. Perfect. So what we want to do is we want this to be centered around the patient's pelvis, and the landmarking for that is the greater trochanter. So pretty much in line with the groin is kind of where you're looking. To get this up to get the blanket up to the patient, we're going to slide it back and forth, kind of moving in an upward direction while we maintain that manual stabilization. We want to make sure we keep that blanket wide and it doesn't narrow out behind the patient. So I want to make sure we get that up. Perfect. Nice and centered around the trochanter. That looks great. So we're nice and centered there. We have the greater trochanter here centered between the binder. We're going to lay 2 triangulars across the patient's legs. These are going to be used to secure the pelvic binder. Fantastic. And then what we're going to do is each responder is going to pass across their side of the emergency blanket. And they're going to just snugly add some tension and then twist, rotate that around. That's great. You can even do one more time just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we can have one of the responders hold that down and then secure off both sides with the triangular. Excellent. So this is going to provide some stabilization for the pelvis. Ideally, this is going to decrease the bleeding in the cavity. We can remove our manual stabilization now. And then for extrication, we're going to be using a backboard or a scoop stretcher, again, to minimize the movement of that pelvis.